He kōna ipurangi tēnei nā te reo irirangi o Aotearoa.
Kia ora. Just a heads up, this podcast contains kōrero around drug use, violence and mental health, so it might not be for everyone. Take care when listening.
Amber Kani. She walked through our door and she sat down and really opened up for us. This ex-Kiwi Fern international not only represented her country, but she tells us a story about a chaotic upbringing. I'm Meta Baker and this is Toa Podcast.
Kia ora, ko Amber toku ingoa, ko te whakatohia toku iwi, ko Ngāti Pati toku hapu, ko Kani rawa ko Woka oku whānau, ko Waiwa te awa, ko Māki o te maunga.
I just heard whakatohia.
My name is Amber. I'm born and raised in Otara, currently residing in Manirewa. Play rugby league for Otara. Started off in the Pepto Panthers.
What number Kiwi Fern are you? Because that's something that I'm really proud of myself. I played 10 years for the Māori Sevens. We never got a number. You know, we were just told, see you later, kicked out of, Hong Kong because the New Zealand team was coming back and things like that. So what number are you?
I think it's 162. I think our names are on the Hall of Fame, so I'm like, that's a pretty high achievement.
Hall of Fame? Come on, give it to me.
In the Auckland Rugby League, there's like a Hall of Fame list, and it's just cool to be able to have my name on it alongside all the other whare Kiwi Fern members.
Who's your favourite Kiwi Fern? Mine, Trish Hina was one of my favourite players. One, to play against because I loved playing against her, and two, play with. And the other one, well, Louie, of course. Big fan of Louie. She was our captain, and we're very good friends now, so that I'm lucky. But so those and Laura Panapa.
She's a mean player. Mine would have to be Serena Fiso because she's taken me under her wing. And I've pretty much grown in rugby league through her. Trish, I've been fortunate enough to be able to play alongside her and also against her. So she's another great role model and very humble. With her, she's very low-key. So.
She's low-key. She's one of those low-keys that don't, the ones that don't talk are the murderers. You know that, eh? So you're a centre?
Yeah, right side centre.
Not left side? Doesn't matter? Does it matter?
I started on the left wing, and then Rusty, which is our coach, he noticed that I could only step one way. So he put me on the other side, and it taught me how to step both sides.
So you're a stepper, are you?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. You're like a little bit like Runa.
Oh,
Peters.
yeah.
Bit of a stepper like that.
The way she could just turn people inside out, even males at touch, I'm just like, that's crazy. Your talent is, oh my gosh.
Yeah, she's got good feet, eh? Like
her and Renee Woodcliffe.
So tell me a little bit about your journey.
I guess everyone's got a story, and I was just happy to be able to tell mine.
Good.
So grew up in Otara. Growing up, I set a goal at the age of 15 that I wanted to be a black fern. So I wrote that on a piece of paper and I put it up on my wall, and every day I would work out as a stepping stone towards working towards my goals. As I grew older, made the Kiwi Ferns back in 2012, which was funny because I debuted the year after when Nines came out, when it first came out.
Nines is so good.
And all I wanted to do was I wanted to just be in the crowd with everyone from the league scene that used to go and watch. And I'm like, man, I so want to be there. That'll be cool. I ended up making the team and debuting in the Nines the year after. And when I debuted, it was just crazy because I noticed on the corner of my eye one of the Australians was offside. And so I knew straight away that was going to be my target because I knew she had to get back on side. So I ran towards her, stepped her. Then I went the other way, ran towards her and stepped her as well. I got like a 20-metre yard.
I think like when you debut first for any national team, when you hear the anthem, I don't know if anyone really gets this, but you're sitting there and you're like, how the hell did I get here to start off with? And then all these emotions are coming through your head. You think about your family.
Yeah.
Do you go through that process as well?
During the anthem, I would probably be side by side by my teammates and just embracing the moment. There have been a few times where I've teared up. Just being able to represent my family and putting that last name out there is something that's so important to me, especially when you think about how far you've come and the sacrifices you've made to get there. So, for example, spending time away from family. I think for myself personally, the game starts from the haka. When you're looking down and you're preparing. For me, I feel like my ancestors are gathering behind and they stand behind me and I'm no longer alone. The haka for me is a release. A release of wairua. It's kind of like a spiritual connection.
How long were you in the Kiwi Ferns for?
2012, 2016, I think 2021.
Why so in and out?
They have off seasons and things like that.
Oh, do they?
So they have different kinds of, so they would have the nines and then they would have the Anzac Test match.
Yeah.
And then they would have World Cup. So it starts from club level, national, and then international level. So at the moment we're in finals footy round for club. Nationals is coming up soon, so it's just around the corner.
You missed out a couple of times?
Yes,
Okay.
I have, I think the Anzac Test match, I was 18th man.
Ride the pine, girl. Ride the frickin' pine. Anyone what listens to this, if you're sitting at home and you don't ride the pine, and you don't feel grateful for being on that pine, you got to do your time, man. You got to do the time on the pine.
This year's been a good ride, good journey.
So you're quite unusual because, you're either in the team and you stay there for a long period of time, but you've actually gone in and out. That's a hard journey, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me about when someone says to you, you didn't make the team. What's your process of getting through that?
Usually I'll just have a cry about it, but in silence, behind closed doors. But other than that, if you trust the journey and trust the process, it's all worth it when it all adds up. Just being able to support my teammates because they'll be the ones out there. I have their back regardless.
Don't you get a little bit frothy though?
Been taken under the wing of Serena Fiso, so when she's saying to me, sorry Amber, you didn't make it, and there's tears in her eyes, it kind of tells me a lot about her character because although she would love for me to be out there alongside her, I kind of understand. I think what the coaches select or base themselves on is who they think the better player is at the time, and that kind of humbles me because I'll look at myself as someone that's got something to give, but I'll probably rate myself average compared to others. I think at a young age I've been making a lot of international teams, so I've known that there's a pathway out there for me. It's just a matter of following it and staying on it.
What does that look like for you? Because I feel as though there's something in here you're not giving me.
It's a restless journey. You never switch off. When you're called, you just pretty much do what you're told. If you're given the opportunity, you're never comfortable.
Never comfortable.
Because when you're at the top, there's only one way, and that's down.
Yeah. So outside of rugby league, because I feel as though that, you're still on your rugby league journey, and there's lots to go there, right? And when you play sport, you just love it.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think for me, playing sport is like an expression, like a dancer that dances. So it's a way of being able to express yourself and just let your feelings and emotions out.
This is what I always say about sport. Sport imitates art, right? Who you are on the field is pretty much who you are off the field. If you can't make decisions on the field...
Life's crazy.
Life's crazy, and you're probably going to do that off the field. What does your life look like? If it imitates art, what do you paint in behind the scenes? What are your things that have happened to you behind the scenes?
When I was 21, I lost Mum. She was 47 at the time. My middle sister went to go stay with Dad. I stayed with Dad for a bit, and then I was out on my own. Going back and forth back home, and then I'll just travel. Was constantly driving around in the car, trying to find somewhere to stay, somewhere warm. I wouldn't stay with Dad. It was, I don't know, it just wasn't settled there.
My mother died 8 years ago of cancer, and my father, he's been on a journey himself. I don't stay at his house either because my mother used to clean up after him. Is that the same for you?
Yeah, I get worried a lot because Dad's got emphysema and I hardly ever get to kind of go and see him. But I think he's found his way to kind of reach out to me with the very little that he says. The moments that I do get to spend with him are so precious. He would barely talk to me. He would barely let it out, actually.
So what was your mother to you?
I hardly got any time with her as well because life was busy. The moments we did spend together, she would conversate with me and she would just say, "You're naive," or put me back on a straight and narrow path. Tough. So the reason why I was sent to my grandparents was because my parents were drug dealers. So
you had a lot of money just sitting around?
No, but there was a lot of drugs. The hottest in Otara. Which was hard. That's a hard reputation to state because Otara is Tin City, so it was tough. You had people coming in and out, kind of crazy. Got to know all Mum's customers and things like that.
Love how you call them customers.
Yeah, they were pretty much like family. It was so weird because the sport industry, so we grew up in a touch background. They were all pretty much the circle.
Is it kind of weird when you go to school, right, or you go to a touch comp and everyone knows your parents and they know that they're drug dealers?
Yeah.
And you're just sitting here and you're just like, how do you comprehend that? Like, how do you navigate that, like, knowing that everybody knows that your parents are drug dealers?
It's kind of, back then it was the normality. You had so many different families and it was okay, it was all good, especially in the touch scene.
The funny thing is like touch is such a hard sport. Like I could not understand how these guys, like I played for Canterbury, and before there used to be, they used to ban marijuana. They never used to test it, right? So everyone, not me, but like lots of people would smoke weed, but I never could actually understand how they could get so wasted and be so talented. So your parents are drug dealers. You're 13. Do you start smoking weed or anything like that? Do you start dabbling?
I had my first with Dad at home.
With Dad?
Yeah.
Shot bro.
Yeah.
Parenting 101.
What he would probably consider legal, I think I was 15. So every time I would come back home, I would be sitting. I would go out into the garage by Dad and then I'll come and sit inside by Mum and just sit there and I'll just be eating and watching TV quietly the whole time.
How does that affect? Because I know that I drank. Look, I don't know how I'm here. That's the truth of it. Like me and Putty were talking about it before. I said to her, man, when we were in Hong Kong, I was drunk for 3 days. Like, in this big city. You obviously, you're smoking weed now. You can't. It's not once or twice. I'm guessing that it's more than that, right?
15 till 21, and then I stopped after that. Due to getting a job working in the prison. Past tense, yeah. Korowai manaki, yeah.
Yeah.
It was tough, but it was worth it. Being able to quit a habit, but teaching myself that I don't need that to be relied on.
You go through this challenge of your mother dying, which is huge in somebody's life. It's huge, and it's tough. Obviously, sport is always up and down, like either you're playing well or you're not.
We took out the league comp for Papakura. That was the year we lost Mum back in 2012. My life changed from that day onwards. Just trying to accept the fact that that lady and that human was the person that gave life and birth to you. So I struggled throughout that period.
What do you do after that? Do you really go, righto, I'm going to be a Kiwi Fern? I'm going to be the best rugby league player I can be.
So what I recall that year is after Nationals, being told that I was going to make the World Cup team. And so before Mum passed, I'd come home and I let her know. And she just got up out of her bed and gave me a big hug. And I remember that hug being so warm and her just being so proud. Although she had cancer and she was struggling. Yeah, I'll never forget that moment. That year she passed, I just done a whole 360 and just kept fighting on the field. Yeah, there were a lot of fight moments.
You mean physical fights?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I can tell you right now, the most punch-ups I've been in has been in either rugby or rugby league.
Yeah, actually.
Because someone has just absolutely walloped me in the face or rucked me or whatever they've done. But we're not bloody getting a handbag and slapping each other.
No.
They're full-on punches.
Balls.
So you start fighting, which is not really...
Yeah, I was naughty back then.
But very unusual, right? It's very unusual to be actually starting those fights?
I would kind of take accountability and say that I was the fire starter.
The fire starter?
Yeah. I'll be responsible for that.
I guess fire starting mode because of your mother's death. Like, is that something?
Kind of. I would turn up to games drunk and play that way. I was still going for it, but I was just kind of off the rails a little bit, struggling, not knowing what to do, and just so much uncertainty at that time.
So during this time, you're fighting, you're trying to get out of it, basically, right?
No.
No, you're not trying.
I'm trying not to stop it.
Right.
I don't want to keep going and going, but the girls are all trying to break it up. I'm like, oh.
There's a part of that where emotionally you've lost your shit, right?
Yeah.
You've actually lost it. Like, you can't reel it back.
There's been a lot of that.
A lot of that.
Yeah.
Inside.
In the past.
A
while ago, yeah.
What does losing your regulation, like, what does losing your shit look like? What does it feel like?
A lot of it is not being in control, just rage.
Because you seem like quite a soft character.
Growing up, I never knew what fighting was. I never knew what bullying was. I was always bullied. Till I come home and my sister's like, you better start learning how to stand up for yourself or else I'm going to teach you. I was either learn or get a hiding, and I got a lot of hidings.
Can you feel before you lose your shit? Like, what's the feeling? Is it warm? Is it, what explain that.
It just feels like it's coming up. Like when you're trying to suppress something down for so long and it's coming up, and eventually when it builds up, it feels like it just hits your head, and then after that it's too late. There's no self-control.
Does it feel warm? Because I remember I used to explain it as the red mist. And the red mist would start coming over, and then all of a sudden I'd just explode. And I could feel the red mist coming. Like, it would go from my feet right up.
Yeah, definitely. When I see red, oh my gosh. Usually that's why I'm fast, so they can run away from it.
Kind of all right.
But
that's why we play sport, right?
Yeah.
So we don't have to deal with this shit. I did read something around an attack that you saved somebody. Is that what I read?
The night of prize giving, my sister, my older sister, let's go out for tonight. We'll go out to prize giving. And I was like, oh no, I don't really want to go. And it was for Otara Scorpions, our end of year prize giving. We ended up going. The night was good, and then I noticed towards the end of the night things were starting to turn. Some of the girls started crying. One of the coaches made them cry by whatever he might have said to her, and I'm like, what's the problem? Why are you crying? And she was crying really bad, so I was like, oh, this is serious. And I remember my older sister just saying, come on, we'll go now. It's the end of the night. Let's go. I was like, okay. And then before I knew it, everything popped off, and everywhere around us there was fighting. It was such a beautiful, elegant place. The setting was perfect, and they just tore it all apart. So my coach took off, but he was dragging his partner out, and I knew that night wasn't going to end well for her. He shoved her in the car, drove off. I tried to slow him down and stop him. The cops had just arrived when we were leaving, and he just zoomed off 100 down the road. One of the ladies jumps in our car. She says, follow that car, it's important. We end up following it. The cop pulls him up off the side of the road. We parked down the street, so we're not kind of detected it or anything. And we end up running up the road, and I get there first. He had beaten up an officer on the ground, stomped on his head. So in the dark, his eyes turned pitch black. There was no white. I remember that, looking into his eyes.
This is your coach?
He was on meth. Because he wouldn't stop beating up the officer, and I couldn't help but push him off. And he wouldn't stop, he would just keep going, and I pushed him, and then he stepped back to me like he was going to do something, and my older sister just made it on time. She was like, you better not. And that's the moment that he stood in, was the moment I saw pitch black in his eyes, and I just knew something was not right. Because I was actually trying to guard the officer at the same time as staring at him, and so I froze in the moment. And that was the moment he was going to come towards me and take it out on me. But lucky my older sister just made it in time to protect me.
So what happens to her? He takes off?
He takes off around the corner. We're left in the dark with the officer on the ground, and he's having a seizure. Covered in blood, his eye sockets were blown. The damage to his face it was really, really bad. I was freaking out. I just take off my jacket and put it under his head to make it comfortable for him to lay on and hold tight till officers arrive or help arrives. Like, at the time, I was tracking down cars to ask for help to stop.
Did anyone stop?
Nah, I was the only one that would kind of look for help. My sister was kind of panicking and crying at the same time of what she just seen.
Did that officers survive?
Yes. I would receive emails that I was a snitch. People would social media bomb me. I just think I told the truth where I had to. The truth came out that I didn't snitch. He did it himself when he left his ID all over the ground and the police found him with the rest of his stuff. All that I remember was don't snitch.
So from that no snitching thing, right, is that from your upbringing with your parents? So then nobody's snitching that. No one's going to be doing that, are they? They're not going to snitch on that.
Alongside drugs, there was a lot of domestic violence. There were times where Dad would get, like, they'd be at a party, Dad would get drunk. All the cousins, I remember him trying to storm down the house, smash the windows, smash the doors, just to get in to see my mum, because she was going to get a hiding. And I remember sitting in the house quietly. The lady's on the phone talking, Mum's looking at me, and she just signals to me in silence. I kind of just sat quiet the whole time.
So domestic violence, like, that's like once for warriors shit, right?
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about,
Yeah.
aren't we? We're not talking about a little korero over here and we're fighting. We're talking about full-on once for warriors fists.
Yeah, that's why I was brought up with my grandparents, to be pulled away from it.
Do you think sport saved you a little bit, though?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Sport is my saviour. Without it, I feel like I can't survive.
Because with sport comes discipline, right? There's boundaries, there's discipline, there's structure.
Yeah.
There's like, those key relationships with different people, right? Your mates. Because, man, I had some really cool mates at a rugby and rugby league.
Yeah.
And they lasted for 20 years. We're on a different kaupapa now and we're all old, basically. And so we don't really have the same sort of in common.
Yeah.
But I just think sport is a place where you can be yourself,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Be your angry self.
Express it.
Express it.
Let it out.
Let it out, create your art. But it also is a place for you to have your own community, people that actually kind of give a shit about you, they care about you and
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
I have, like, real good league family. Ngāti Umitahi being one of them. Pretty much Carla. She's taken me in as her own. Yeah, her and Rusty, they just look after me and take good care of me.
So now we've rolled ourselves to 2024, I think, with goals and aspirations. What are they?
Staying on the grind, working hard every day towards goals, whether it be a little workout or a big workout. NRLW looks good. Keeping an eye on the Warriors.
How come you're not in NRW now already?
I've had a little bit of a break due to working.
Mahi-wise? What mahi do you do?
Being able to provide for my family. I am currently a cashier at Armagard. Yeah, so I'm just packing and restocking shelves of coins. I've been out of work for a little bit and just working on my mental health.
In terms of like your depression or?
I have bipolar. It got to the point where it was partially hypomania.
Were you? I've got a friend who's got bipolar, and when they weren't medicated, they were like flying off roofs. Was it like that?
That's the episodes are really similar to that.
And yeah, so basically, can you describe a manic episode?
So hypo being over energized and manic, I would explain it as just being out of control, like not in control of yourself. Whatever appears in your mind at that time seems real. And I think that's kind of where people start hearing voices and things like that.
Can you describe one of your manic episodes, what that looked like, what this kind of looks like?
Getting to a point where life is stressful, everything's packed up and someone's trying to make trouble with you. And as bad as you try and ignore it, they stir it again, and something that they've said sets you off. It's not something that I'm proud of at all, but just going out of control, ending up being locked up. There's been episodes where I've believed that my family have all been in a prison. I end up walking from home all the way to the cells to go and find my family. They have 8 tasers on me and I'm ready to go.
Medicated now?
Yeah.
Yeah. How's medication for you? What's that journey like?
It's tough at times because depends on what you would like to take. I have the 5 mgs and the 10. If I think it's going to come out, it's going to be bad, I take the 10. But that means that I sleep the next day. You just have no energy. I could sleep for weeks. Yeah, so dealing with that is tough. I mean, to suppress it, I do take my medication.
I've just been medicated for ADHD, like over the last month or so. It's taken me 6 months to get it diagnosed for adult ADHD and ADD. So I got 2 of them. Lucky me.
ADD.
And I find the medication quite tough.
Oh, yeah.
It knocks me around a little bit.
Yeah.
I feel good sometimes. And then sometimes I'm like doodle. I'm like, what is going on?
Definitely got to know what works for you and what doesn't.
This is awesome. Thank you so much for coming. I hope you'd go well, future things for anything to do with rugby league or rugby. And if you don't make the NRL or Kiwi Ferns, just keep playing. I hope I get to see you on the screen, that's for sure.
Kia ora. If some of the discussion raised in this podcast affects you or maybe someone you know, please reach out to Lifeline on 0800 543 354, or you can text HELP to 4357. For more information about bipolar disorder, you can check out the website www.mentalhealth.org.nz. Te Oho Ake is made with the support of Te Mātāwai, with host Mere Baker, and that kōrero with Amber Kani. Te Oho Ake was produced by Mere Baker and Awhina Kure of Era Vision Media.